We will go ahead and get started. Go ahead with roll call, please, Jen.
Mike Tolson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jennifer Finley, Jim Molitor, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt,
Here.
Big Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Una.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Tutis, Lanice Tran.
Thank you, Jen. Len, will you give us a prayer this morning? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Len. We do have minutes from the 22nd. Morning, Jennifer. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm gonna email Abby with a correction to my spot because it says the state refused money. They actually reallocated money. So I'll just send her an email for the correction.
Thank you, Daniel.
Mr. Chair.
Good, James.
Yeah, I'm gonna send Abby a little bit of a correction on, let's see, page 3 in the middle where I mentioned women's healthcare. I'm probably gonna put in there just a sentence about basically Trump attacking women's rights and their healthcare. Something like that.
Motion by Martin to approve the minutes with corrections. Second by Tom. All in favor? Unanimous. We do have an agenda for today. Are there any additions? Tom? Daniel? No walk-ins? James? I don't know that.
The department head
Department head report.
interview report, what we requested.
Yeah. So it just continued department head report. Jennifer? And we do have one walk-in. Motion by Martin to approve the agenda with the additions. Entertain a second. Second by James. All in favor? Unanimous with Len out of the room. Doesn't appear our walk-in is ready. So Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. On Monday, while Chelsea was on reporting on Columbia Falls, I don't know if she reported on Elk River or not, but I had received an email from actually my daughter about seeding justice grant opportunities, and it's basically Columbia Basin headwaters funding opportunities for projects in the entire Columbia Basin. And I know that we put in for one grant to help fund studying or supporting our research on Elk River mining. And I think it was a joint proposal between us and Kootenai Tribe of Idaho, but it failed, if I recall correctly. So I think this wouldn't be a good alternative. There's a couple of $1 million there that, so I sent it off to Chelsea, and then I just now forwarded it to Rich Jansen and Tony Incashola. I think it would be something where we could get some money to do it. So Seeding Justice is the one handling the money in Portland, and it's for any Columbia Basin headwaters projects. So I think it'd be good if they looked at it. I'm sure Chelsea will try to do something there, but just want to make council aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Danielle?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yesterday's search had over 120 community volunteers show up. Unfortunately, there was we didn't get the result we wanted. We didn't find her. All the resources and all the help was greatly appreciated out there. Pretty cold and rough and wet, but speaking with Michelle at the end of the day yesterday, they're planning to regroup again tomorrow. There's a handful of associates that were there that work on Fridays as well. And Michelle's request was for a change of duty for the Friday associates or our associates that work on Fridays to be able to go out and assist with the change of duty for them with supervisor approval. There was people on both sides of the river.
So is that a motion?
Sure. Yeah.
Other thoughts, questions? Second by Len to grant change of duty to our Friday folks. I guess basically for the full day, as it was last time with supervisor approval. And the hope is that they would take PTO if they were not actually described as having those sort of duties that would be covered by insurance.
One
Mark?
thing, maybe have them register with Shell. That helps a lot, I think, for numbers and checking in, checking out.
Definitely that they check in with Michelle. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Danielle.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Martin.
because I had one little small thing to that.
Yes.
I just want to thank Jennifer and Jay Blue and Mary Charlo for scrambling and making a bunch of sandwiches because of the good numbers that turned out yesterday. We got them delivered, and also thank Lewis Cross for driving the lunches out from Quatucknuck.
Appreciate that. James, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I had the opportunity to visit the Digwa Leach treatment program at the Swinomish Nation last week. It's a modeled after the Icelandic prevention model that Lummi is also working with. The cool thing about it is that they serve everyone. They serve their tribal folks, non-tribal folks, anyone that comes to the door and is in treatment or looking for, to start that path of recovery. They don't turn anyone away. Anyone that comes in the door, they don't tell if they have an appointment or not, they get served. They got a new building built back in 2017, and they started with just a van and a expedition And now they've grown to 15 vehicles, 15 buses, basically, small buses that they go around 3 different counties in the area and pick up people that are wanting to start in recovery. The biggest thing that they did is they created a Swinomish Development Authority, and they put this under that as a business. They separated it out from under the council for political involvement and made it a standalone with its own board under the Development Authority. And one of in their motto, it basically says they will take down the barriers for any of their clients or patients that need service. So they started off with paperwork. Okay, what can we do to shorten that paperwork down? The other one was transportation. So it's a one-stop shop. If somebody goes in for treatment and they need dental work, they have their own dentist, they have their own doctors. And they also have a philosophy at Digwalich that if you don't have a heart for the patients and your clients, you no longer have a job there. And that's separate from the tribal council for a reason, because, you know, we're not going to send somebody down a road whether they have that customer service skill or not. But so when somebody goes in there, if they don't have a heart for the patients and the clients that they're working with, then they get rid of them. And they go for the staff that has a heart for that particular population. So they have mental health services, dental services. They have child watch. If a client comes in and has children, they watch that young person while the guardian or parent is getting service. Pretty amazing model. It's a complete paradigm shift from what we are doing. While we were there, they have a methadone. They bought $100,000 RV motorhome, retrofitted it to be a roving clinic that they drive around the different counties up to Lummi, and they will be administering methadone and they just started that. They're going to start servicing Bellingham, but a pretty amazing program. They've had over 300 different tribal organizations go through there to learn about. So basically it was an immersion program. We learned all about their program, and the biggest thing is taking down barriers for people to get service is their number one priority. And it was pretty amazing. I've got it in my head. I'm trying to get the documents on how they created their development authority, because I can see that as a potential, you know, we've talked about maybe having a management company, or, you know, and we're talking about funeral home services and some of these other things that maybe could fit under an umbrella of a development authority. But they service 300 clients a day that go through their program. They have over 500 clients on their roster. But they started servicing just tribal members, but they realized that not all their tribal members are married to enrolled members. And if you don't help the connection of the non-members, the descendants, and the community, if you don't get the community well, you're not helping your own community. You got to get the whole community well. And the former chairman over there, Brian Clattersby, I think he's on their development authority. He reached out to me afterwards, and so I might engage with him to learn more about the process. So it was pretty impactful to me and all of us. I went, Kathy Ross, Patricia McClure, Logan Gordon, and a couple other staff from down in tribal health, with a tour program paid for the travel and everything. But it's definitely something that was pretty awesome to see. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you, James. Michael, come on up. Welcome.
Can we have executive?
We'll go out of regular into executive. I think we're ready for you now. You having trouble with the mouse?
Mousetrap.
I really wasn't gonna read it in.
Oh, okay.
I'll just do it on top of it. Are we all ready then? Okay, I'll start with introducing myself. I'm Vernon Christopher. I am, have been employed at Two Eagles since 2015. I'm the facility manager there. And the reason I am here today is a resolution to get our HVAC system upgraded, which, in the time I've been there, I do think it really needs it for air quality. And when I first submitted this proposal to BIA, it was BIA then, and they was gonna get their engineers and what have you to look at it. And now BIE is taking over, and from what I've been talking to them, they got project managers that are either retiring or they're on other projects, and it's just it'll be too long a time out right now. And that's why the resolution is to get this upgraded to, because it's been going on 2.5 years now, and we just feel it's time to get it moving here. And it's two. It's the main building, and there's a smaller annex building that needs to be upgraded. That'd be changing everything out, the ductwork, the thermostats in the room. Everything's on a pneumatic system right now, and it's needs a lot of attention. And what the engineers told me, that electronic be the way to go to control the heating and cooling. Mostly the heating, the cooling is on a, I don't know if they're going to upgrade that or not, but then upgrade the parts in the boiler room. We got 2 boilers, one's oil and one's electric. And they just, I think it's time for an upgrade.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Vernon, for coming in, and good to see you again, Rodney. Yeah, I'd make the motion to approve the resolution for the HVAC at Cougar River School.
Motion by Tom, second by Jennifer. I want to add to the statement that Vernon's making is this resolution actually reaches a little further than that. It actually will utilize our own contracting to do any jobs above $10,000 out of BIE after this, right? Isn't that part of this, Rodney?
Yes, Chairman Dolson, we're happy to have help doing this because we have other huge projects. We want to build a all-weather track down at the football field. And then, of course, the adjacent property, we rebooted that, and that's going to be a big project. And so going forward, I think there's going to be some good opportunities. So appreciate it. Thank you.
I was on the telephone when we were talking about this, and the 100-297 is the process. And so we're implementing that when BIE money comes to us, we'll do our own contracting rather than having BIE do the contracting. So the first 2 contracts are these with the HVACs. That's where we're at, just to clarify. Motion by Tom, second by Jennifer, all in favor? Unanimous. Jennifer?
Can you guys send that resolution in Word format to Abby Dupuy.
Thank you, Vernon. Thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
Morning, Ruth. Come on up.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Tribal Council, doing 2 departmental requests to purchase capital equipment. The first one to replace radios and the repeater at Bison Range for a total of just over 57,000 estimated. So it's 15 portable units and then the actual station itself. They're using the, of course, holdover US FWS system. They will purchase it with their deferred maintenance. We've also concurrently made a request to BIA for Northwest Region unobligated funding. If we're awarded that, then we can swap back and save those deferred funds.
Motion by Martin to approve the capital purchase for portable radios and repeater stations. Second by Tom. All in favor? Unanimous.
All right, and the second one, Tribal Health, purchasing capital equipment for their Polson Dental. So, couple of items there, excuse me. And also optical, this is to purchase a machine that actually takes the picture of your eye to look for things like retinopathy and, you know, stuff. I'm talking like I know. Anyway, that's a piece of equipment and then the license. So equipment itself about 214,000 and license cost that 4,000 or less. And then to finally purchase the mobile restroom and shower for estimated 107,000, we will use third party. So that total of 413,000 requested for you to approve for those expenditures.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ruth, so there's no way to take this out of any ARPA money, these purchases?
They have pretty much expended what might be available for that.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that we weren't gonna waste any of that. Okay,
Correct.
thank you for that.
We think that way as well.
I had one question back on the Bison Range.
Mhm.
When will the supplemental funds that we got run out? Or
They are now running out the last 2 million that came down in 24. So we have to kick in the tribal supplement probably about the last third of this year. So they're running at just under 2 million annually. 1.3 from what's remaining unspent from the transitional dollars. And then another just under 500,000 on the tribal side to shoulder that. They've entered into their kind of slower season, so they're cutting back on the drive hours type thing. We've questioned why they don't curtail just total operational hours and reduce the staffing hours there. Because I believe they're still going 7 days a week. We've demonstrated, and they probably know this way better than I do, their collections will start dropping off significantly. So we've encouraged them to look at that, try to keep their operational costs down. The opportunity to use the other money that's out there is really a good approach for them, such as with the radios. Their deferred maintenance is one that is also being spent down. They're, I think, have about a $1.3, $1.4 million budget this year to continue to work on a lot of those items. But that too will eventually run out. So
do
there's,
you know what their revenue was?
I've not looked at the 24 year end. They're trending up for all 3 years that they've been in operation. But without really looking at it, it's mostly going to be the admission fees. They have a gift shop portion of that they do look at in a separate fashion. So.
Thank you.
And I
Questions
haven't
about
even
track-
been out there yet this year. So I need to.
Martin, go ahead. Motion by Martin to approve the tribal health request. Can I get a second? Second by Lynn. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, Ruth. Do we have Holly? Is Holly on her way? Why don't you go ahead and come on up, Mark? Good morning. Oh, Holly is here? Oh. Holly's on the agenda, so we'll take Holly. Come on up. Morning.
Mine should be pretty quick. So all I have this morning is I was coming in to ask for approval on the resolution to purchase the Corville Ross Estate property.
Motion by James,
Motion.
second by Tom. All in favor? Unanimous.
Okay,
Thank you,
Thank you,
Holly.
Holly.
thank you. You guys have a good day.
Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.
What's next in the process?
We have all our stuff in. We sent our earnest money this week. And so the title company that their realtor is using, the soonest date they could close is the 19th.
On the 19th?
Yep.
And so that's when the owners would get paid
Yep,
or the sellers
yeah. So we'll close that day with them, so,
on the 19th.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Holly.
Okay, thanks.
Now, come on up, Mark. Morning. Use the
Push the button. The first modification is a contract with Dick Anderson Construction. The contract actually expired September 15th, and the buck stops here. I did not do my follow-up to make sure it got pushed through before it expired, so I reached out to contracts and grants and ran everything through them. And I would like the approval to go ahead and set a new expiration date of December 31st and use the same contract number to avoid confusion in the billing and invoicing process. This is for the Jocko K Headworks. Just need a little bit more time to finish the project up. I have a Kawanda screen cleaner that I ordered out of Canada a year ago, and that finally showed up. So I'd like to have Dick Anderson do the installation of the screen cleaner, and their electrician that did the wiring come in and get that wired. So it's not a monetary increase of any kind. It's just a extension of the contract.
Go ahead, Carol.
You know, that's not very good planning. You agree? I mean, if you have to wait and you're the payee, you have to wait for their subcontractor or whatever it is to come in and get the job done. Am I confused? Am I confused?
So I had ordered this screen cleaner a year ago out of Canada, and due to, I'll say their issues up there, I've had 3 project managers with this company. The first one went out on maternity leave. The second one got exited from the company, and I wound up with a third. So the process of getting this thing took forever.
But it wasn't Dick Anderson's problem.
No,
Okay.
no, this is something that I specifically
Okay.
ordered.
I
Yes.
thought it was Dick Anderson.
Nope,
'Cause
nope.
I've had complaints of Dick Anderson before, and I'm just hoping that I know there's a superintendent on the job watching, monitoring, doing
Mhm.
all that. But there were complaints, so when I heard this, I thought I heard that it was Dick Anderson's, but it's you. So
This is
it's
all
okay.
me.
It's all right, no problem. I'm okay.
Problem with supply.
Supply.
With darn Canadians, they've been giving us all kinds of trouble.
I would entertain a motion to modify this contract for an extension of date.
Question,
James,
Mr.
go
Chair.
ahead, James.
Yeah, on page 14, it has a couple chairpersons ago. Did they fix it? Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, to approve.
Motion by James, second by Danielle, to approve the modification of the Dick Anderson contract to install the screen. All in favor? Unanimous with Len out of the room.
Thank
What's
you.
next?
Second up on our list is a modification to the Dowell Engineering contract for the Crow pumping plant. This one is a monetary value increase of $177,710. It increases the contract value from 898,170 to 1,075,880. This modification was required due to additional design elements being put in place for the pumping plant, which added a higher level of coordination being required between the subs on it and a higher level of review. Also, there was additional wetlands investigation and mitigation required for the environmental permitting process. Bid services were added to this so that Dowell could be the ones to be in charge of the advertisement, the pre-bid meeting, answer any questions from contractors, assist in the bid opening process, and provide a recommendation of award based on the contractor's submittals. This is a project on Crow Creek, replacing the broke down pumping plant that's there. And construction is slated to hopefully begin in July of 25 on this one. So this again is a monetary increase in value to the contract.
Questions? Motion by Martin to approve modification 1 to the Dowell contract for the pumping plant on Crow Creek. Basically, it's a modification to increase the dollars that are involved because of the extended scope of work. Do I have a second? Second by Tom. All in favor? Just barely. Lynn? Unanimous? And your third contract?
And the third one on our list is a modification to McMillan Incorporated engineering firm for the North Fork Jocko / Tabor diversion project. This is both a time extension and monetary value increase to their contract. The contract is set to expire December 31st of this year. We'd like to extend that to December 31st of 2028. And monetary wise, we'd like to increase the value by $348,790 to a new value of 1.6 million. The additional design elements that have been added to this project, it's a project that actually encompasses several different areas up in the North Fork. It's the Tabor diversion, it's the bridge across the North Fork, and it is also at Upper S. Upper S, they are adding a fish ladder to that structure to allow fish passage across the diversion that's there. There's been design changes to the Tabor diversion on the North Fork, and the bridge took a little bit of coordination with sub-consultants. This project is increasingly huge. Initial concept drawings at 30% were 122 sheets, and we're now at 212 sheets for the project. So it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. And this one is hopefully slated to start construction in July of 25 also. The bridge itself has already been replaced. The Upper S fish ladder is around 60% design, and the Tabor diversion structures approaching the 90 to 95% design on that. So this is once again a time extension and a monetary increase in value.
Questions? Entertain a motion this is the third modification of this contract
Yes, it is.
with McMillan LLC. Motion by Tom to approve modification 3 to the McMillan LLC contract for Upper Tabor. Second by Martin. All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Thank you. Hey, Mark, quick question. It looks like this started back in 21. This is the third modification. A lot of it's been designed. Do you think this modification is going to allow them time and money to complete this, or are we looking at more? I know it's a big project, but with a lot of the project not being in motion or certain areas not being done, it's just a lot of money to keep extending on a design that's been in progress since 2021 and we're in 2024.
I know it's probably not exactly what you want to hear, but I'm going to say hopefully this gets them through the final design of the project. It will not probably cover any sort of bid services or project monitoring by them, but it will get through the design. Between, and this is my own 2 cents worth, between all the different entities that are involved in these projects, between BIA, between FIP, between us, it's a constant battle. We think we've designed a product that, you know, is best suited to our needs, and then at the last minute, somebody will step in and not like something, which requires a lot of design change. So that, like I said, that's my personal 2 cents worth, but that's what happens on a lot of these projects.
I appreciate you helping me understand that process, because when I just look at it like 3 years and we're still designing it, I
Of
just
course.
want to make sure I understood that. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Go ahead, Len.
Kind of, following Danielle's, what about design flaws in the future? If we have a design, if we get into construction, project gets completed and we have a flaw in a design, what addresses that? What covers that?
So the engineering group, doesn't matter which one, which project we use, they are the ones that stamp their final design with their engineering stamp, and that is, excuse me, pretty much the guarantee that this is correct, this is right, this will work. Design flaws, if it's we'll call it a fatal flaw, falls back on them.
Okay,
So if they did the design, they stamped it, they said, yep, this is exactly what is going to work best, and lo and behold, the structure falls apart due to a design flaw, that is on the engineering firm.
all right, thanks, Mark.
Go ahead, Carol.
Is there a statute of limitations on that? Clause? Because it could be
There
fine for 20 years.
there
but-
might be a statute on it, but it's pretty well understood in the engineering industry that if you are going to put your stamp on it, you're gonna sign it, you're gonna back it up.
And that's in writing somewhere?
More of an understood.
Uh-oh, that scares me. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about construction, but way back in the day, I read The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. Crazy. And time is money,
Mm-hmm.
and, having to go back and redo stuff. But I guess I'll just rely on our experts and
Well, it
appreciate.
I don't know that we'll just pick on McMillan since we're talking about them. I don't know that 10 years down the road or anything that's wrote on a piece of paper that you will do this, but in the engineering code of ethics, it is written in there that you are responsible pretty much for the lifetime of your stamp, your everything. If you design it, you stamp it, you sign it, that's your baby, cradle to grave.
I kind of feel like there's a design flaw with this. Of course, there will be, when you're doing this kind of stuff, because there's water leaking there and back there, but what do? No, they don't come back and fix it. We end up trying to patch it.
Right.
up.
A lot of things look good on paper. In the real world, maybe not quite so much. You know, and here again, I'll put my 2 cents in worse since we're sitting here talking about it. In the engineering world, I'd like to see it required that you actually go do construction for 5 years before you're given a engineering stamp. Just because you read it in a book, just because you can do the math on a piece of paper, doesn't mean you know how to do it.
Well, I appreciate your work. I really do. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Thank you, Chair. And Mark, lots of people recreate up there, including myself in a lot of those areas. Will you or one of your team members come give us an update on what we can expect for closures as this projects start to happen this next year, or is there somebody else responsible for that?
So right now there's a project at Falls Creek, which is a mile and a half, I think, down the canal from where the North Fork is. That is probably about 95% complete right now. They'll be out of there by the second week in November. The road has been closed from Twin Lakes up to that structure, and then coming down from the Tabor diversion about halfway to the Falls Creek structure, the road's closed there. That canal road is very narrow, and moving cranes and everything up and down it, we went ahead and closed that off. When the North Fork project, the Tabor diversion, gets underway, we have talked about closing off where the crossroads is down to the other side of that structure, and still allowing people to come up from Twin Lakes up to probably Falls Creek or in that area. So there'll be some limited access. What I refer to as the Jammer Road that cuts over and goes up to the North Fork, that's going to remain open for public travel. The cut across road from the crossroads over to Jocko Canyon Road, that one, I think we're going to probably recommend a road closure of some kind on that, because the concrete for that project, they're going to bring in a mobile batch plant and set up over by the Jocko Canyon Road in an old logging unit there, and having 4 or 5 mixed trucks running up and down that little road just isn't going to work. And I'm afraid that having through traffic, the side-by-sides up there, the other day we were given a tour down at Jocko K, and I counted 14 side-by-sides in a parade that went up that road. Between the haul trucks, between 120-ton crane, mixed trucks, bad situation. So I would like to at least highly consider closing that cut across road for the extent of the project, at least while they're working during it, which is probably March, April to November timeframe. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Mark? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Come on up, Renee. Good morning and
Good
thanks for
morning.
coming in.
How are all of you today? Um, we were just here to see, since we were asked to set up a field trip for tribal council to look at the towers. And so we were just wondering when we could set up a Friday. Excuse me, I'm tired. Walk quickly over here.
I suggested Friday just because that's an easy one for me, but we could do another day if it's more open and I haven't seen the towers and that's what initiated this. I'd like to see the towers and I thought maybe other councils would like to see towers.
With the 4 towers, we suggested probably looking at 2 of them. It would probably not have enough time to get to all 4. Our suggestion would be Pistol Creek and Jetty.
Is there a problem with next Friday?
Let's see, that would be November 1st. Go ahead.
Where are they all located at? We have 4 towers, right?
Correct. We have 4 towers. We have one on the Jetty Hill site. One over in Boulder, one down in Jetty, and one in Oliver Point.
So great.
Oh, sorry.
Next,
Pistol Creek.
next Friday wouldn't work for me, but don't cancel it because of me. An event in Missoula I'm going to.
I'm thinking sooner is better than later.
I just suggest pick the first and all of us that can go and, you know. Yeah,
Let's look at the first.
Okay, and then we just kind of need a count so that we can arrange transportation. Okay, that can come down later, but yeah.
We can get a count.
Is there any other questions?
Here, so these towers are going to be included in the upcoming broadband project that's coming up. That's gonna be the plan.
Yes. Yes, that's definitely the plan, that the 4 towers would be the main ones used to connect the fiber project.
Okay. And this is going to be primarily, not, I don't want to use primarily, but to get Wi-Fi connections to the membership.
That question is hard to answer. In the project, it does say that it would service the last mile, right? To some membership.
Okay.
That's in the proposal, the grant.
All right. Thank you, Renee.
Any other questions? Go ahead, James.
just a family question. You know, your brother was in to talk about Marvin and his honoring and such. So it was pretty cool to hear about Marvin and the Nevada Boxing Association. So it was pretty awesome. And to hear that he survived the hurricane. So like he said, yeah, he's going to ride it out. I'm like,
Yes, I heard he was in here and I was scared for Marvin that he was right in the middle and he did not get any flooding. He stayed.
was his house okay and everything? No,
He has,
nothing.
he has 3 homes in a retirement community. And everybody else left, but he stayed. Marvin.
Well, good thing he was okay and survived. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it was, thank you.
Well, thank you. I'll be happy to take a look at these towers, learn more.
Yeah, we'll get everything together and let everyone know for
We'll get you-
November
We'll get
1st.
you a number.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Jennifer?
Hey, Lisa, can you get that scheduled date that you were asking about on the email?
Good morning. There was a engineers competition for awards, and Morrison and Merle applied under the broadband grant, and they're actually gonna receive an award for that project that they did for us, the environmental assessment. And so they were wanting to know if anyone from the tribe is interested in attending. It's a joint engineers conference. They would pay for the banquet tickets. We just need to let them know who would like to attend. It's going to be on November 6th. The awards socials starts at 5 p.m. And then the awards banquet itself with the awards ceremony starts at 6 p.m. and it'll be in Helena. So if anyone would like to know, if you could let Jen know, she can help you with the travel arrangements, or Jay Blue. I'm not sure who does your travel, but.
We'll definitely let you know if we got people interested. So,
And if we didn't have anyone attend, they'll just mail us the plaque.
Jennifer?
Yeah, since we have to do our travel requests online, if you could send it to us via email, then we have some sort of documentation to attach if those of us who want to go. I won't be able to go to this particular one, but just as a matter of course, we'll always need something in writing. Thank you.
Martin?
Speaking of which, how much does a super user subscription cost for on base?
So that recently has changed our licensing model. So now we're more on a concurrent license base. So the old super user, power user, the different tiers has kind of gone away. I'll have to get you that number. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Follow up. The reason why I ask is because we are doing our own travel now, but we can't reconcile our own travel. It's really bizarre. So we called over there, or Kenji said that we didn't have that ability to do that. So all of it's funneling back through one person again, which I thought the whole point of this was to have individuals do their travel, reconcile their travel, create less paper waste. And we're still doing basically the same process we did before, except now Jay Blue is entering all of our travel reconciliations in, signing for us, typing in our trip reconciliations. So it seems like it would make more sense to get us, at least the ones that travel a lot, either access or a license for on base so we can do it ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So I'll reach out with Kenji and Naviant and see where we're at on that.
Any other questions? Well, thank you all. Have a good day.
We're still trying to get people here for the next agenda items, so.
So take a break because Rich was gonna be here too, so.
Yeah, Dan's driving down and so's John.
Oh, we're a little ahead of time. Break.
I was speeding on the way here, kind of like Tom. Not as quite as bad as Tom, but I'm here. Good morning, everyone.
It's because your car is slower than mine.
Yeah. Good morning. We're here today to talk to you a little bit about the new NRD Division of Engineering and Water Resources facility that we've been working very hard on, probably for the past year, on a potential concept of the facility in Ronan. And it took a while to get to this point. We looked at the Kicking Horse area, we looked at the Ronan area, we looked at trying to find land within the reservation, and couldn't find land that was affordable or that would suit our needs. It just wasn't available. And we weren't going to pay outrageous prices using compact dollars to do that. And so we came to the understanding, and with council, talking to you in the past, that the Ronan site right next to the Boys and Girls Club, across from the Boys and Girls Club, where our current safety of dams location is at, was the best site for this facility. For one or more reasons. The one that I like is that we're already there, and that it's right along the highway where everybody can see it. And we can have our logo right there when people go by, and the facility can look like a tribal building. And we'll go and get into that further. I want Lisa and John and Dan kind of to go through that with you as well. And so why don't we go ahead and get started? Did I do a good enough job, Lisa, you think? It's kind of a team effort here. We had the staff of Dewar kind of help us along, and Jacola was our group that did it, but we wanted to go through the facility first, right?
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Rich. And I might be negligent on trying to get a hold of Pete or Marty, but because it's going into that greater Fangs Root property, or the irrigation pipe business we bought a long time ago, that where you're at right now. We have a skate park, and we want to put in another playground, and then I know there's going to be some affordable apartments that are going to come through. I just really want to have another conceptual design or layout of that entire property and how everything goes together. The siting of your NRD building for Dewar, and then everything else. And I don't know if anybody's working on that, or if that's been done by Lands, but I was going to get a hold of Marty or Pete to see if they couldn't help do that with their programming that they have. Do you know if anything's been done? Anybody?
I had sent the original master plan to Jordan and any of the updates that we had through Tribal Health. So they have those documents, but I'm not sure if there's been any progress made beyond sending that out to Jordan.
So if you can see, Councilman McDonald, this is the proposed footprint for the facility. Located on tribal land already utilized by the NRD department. And we would keep the blue building that you see when you go by the Ronan site right now. That's right here where it says storage. And the Boys and Girls Club is to the right. And so you see the proposed building would be just off of that new road that was constructed there in Ronan, where the new stoplight is, going to the right. And so the Boys and Girls Club is just off to the right. And then you see the Tribal Health building right here. And then I think the skate park is right south, right? Or south of the Tribal Health, right? Yeah. And so we're not impeding any of the vacant land, correct? Oh, a little bit above?
Just a little bit.
Okay, a little bit above. Correct, yeah, with some parking areas, electric vehicle charging stations, covered parking stalls, where it would be bullpen. Yeah, a solid bullpen with fencing and stuff. So I know I emailed all you guys last night or yesterday, this entire thing, so you have it in your files that you can look at your leisure. But this was kind of just the artist rendition, and bear in mind, this front design is just a concept right now. So we were just looking at different options of what to do to make it look more of a tribal building, because this is not really, this is the people's building. This is the tribe's building. It's not NRD's building. And I made sure my staff were aware of that. This is not for any of us. This is for everyone to utilize, including if we had our community meetings or public meetings, that they can utilize our conference rooms, at night or for different events or whatever, because I'm not going to be here forever. Our staff aren't going to be here forever. We're going to have people coming behind us, and we want this facility to last a long time. And these were just some artist pictures of what it would look like into the future. And then the internal of the building, we would have a big logo to really showcase it, especially for the anti-compactors that go by the highway every day, that they would see that. I kind of pushed that on Lisa a little bit, but she agreed. That was just me. And then we really like the teepee look. And these, we wanted something that would show a teepee in the front, but that is still a concept. So that hasn't been even decided, and we haven't brought that for you to make that final decision yet. This is just a concept.
We worked this, how long for a water compact? And finally, we get to see something that represents us. I like it.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the only thing I could say that's missing is solar panels on the roof. And I don't know why there aren't any.
In the bullpen, the covered parking areas, that is solar powered roofs on them, like you see in some cities and parking areas. And they are also in the A&E part, they would be working on that also. More solar panels.
So will solar panels be put in with the construction?
Yes.
And are the solar panels, is there a solar battery then also for your backup power? Or
I don't know how, that has not been, not to that stage yet. I mean, there's several ways to go about it, whether it goes back on the grid and you get a rebate, a deduct, I guess, on your power, or whether it goes into battery. So I'm sure there will be a backup generator there also.
so was there any solar, just like the tribal health building, where there's some money to put solar panels down there? Is there money for this?
Not through that project, no.
But through another venue?
There's the potential for that. We haven't researched it yet because these are just the conceptual drawings, and so they would get into the engineering. When we talked with Jacola at the beginning, we had told them that we would like to see something on the roof, but they basically told us it wouldn't be very feasible, and so that's why they went with the option for the covered parking area instead.
Councilman McDonald, it's going to have solar panels. I don't know if the facility itself will have solar panels, but we are going to have solar panels on the covered parking, as well as a ground source heat pump, a water ground source heat pump. And I believe that we can continue to add covered parking and put more solar panels on it. And my envision is to utilize that power to go back into the facility to reduce costs and make this an efficient building, utilizing water and our sun to reduce the cost and make it efficient and make it last. You know, and we're gonna give you the estimated budget from the Jacola of 13 to 15 million coming out of the water compact to create this building for the tribe, you know? And that's what it's gonna cost according to them. But it's gonna save us a lot of money utilizing the same company because they've already done the discovery process.
Yeah. No, I'm not,
Yeah.
I just, trying to fulfill our own directive of, you know, climate change. And this is a brand new building. It's going to be beautiful. I'm just absolutely excited that we're finally getting some of this water compact project going through actually SKMM also, because that's where I actually envisioned a lot of this to go. So this would be the first project that SKMM is being involved with the water compact. That's exciting. One of the things when we were on a field trip, and I don't see this here, but I don't know in your retrofit of the other buildings, I was reminded in our field trip to Glacier National Park of a proposal that we had a long time ago, Rich, and this has to do with the roads program, has to do with interpretation. But when you put signage out, whether it's a stop sign, speed limit sign, or it's an interpretive sign with panels like at Sailor's Point or, you know, wherever they might be, pictographs or anywhere in our Aboriginal territory where we're doing project with, or it could be at one of the, you know, dam projects or fish screen projects or the North Fork of the Jocko where we're doing interpretive signs or other signage. The Park Service had a great sign program, their own sign shop. And Dan Lozar had promised back in the day when we were researching this that he would set up a sign shop as part of the roads and irrigation, the doer type projects, because there's a need for that. If we go out and buy a stop sign, it costs a whole bunch more than us making it ourselves. And all you need is basically a plotter. The vinyl comes, you just have to have some space, and it's self-adhesive, and you make whatever damn signs you want to. But you reduce your cost from like $1,000 a sign on interpretive signs down to $100. And it seems like it would be something that somewhere in the footprint of what you're moving around, or not, maybe not in the new building, but it would really be great if we could have a sign shop and we could start doing that, because we have a great need for interpretation, a great need in all of our programs for these type of signs, whether it's in a parking lot right out here or wherever. The aluminum signs with well, I mean, like there's just no limit to it. And it looks like it would fit and would fit under the purpose of the doer as far as the initial costs. So, thank you.
Go ahead, Carol.
I think Tom captured it about the resolution and him having that molded into this building, I think is fitting and it's timely.
Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you, Rich. I really like all of your ideas, Rich. And I like everything that you're saying. And I really like that you're thinking about this as the tribe's property. And how can you make it something that will be beneficial to future generations? I really like that train of thought. And I love that you're going to make it available to the community. I just think that's really cool. I had a couple questions. What kind of security measures are you taking for this building? Because I know that's been an issue in Polson, right? With like the crazy anti-Indian people, and kind of looking at how to retrofit that building a little bit for security, and just thinking about this building with security issues, and also with a water project. You know, like the Quatucknuck has cameras on everything. And my son used to work in that for one summer. That was his summer job, to work in the camera room at the Quatucknuck. And he's like, everything you do in there, Mom, everything's on camera. And I mean, not that I do anything bad in there. Go eat breakfast sometimes. But Every move you make in that casino is on camera. And there's someone in a room 24/7 watching the cameras. And my question is there a need for that? That kind of, I mean, maybe not at that level, but for something like that. And also, will there be a drive-through for people to make payments? Because I know you guys have like an outdoor, in Polson, you have an outdoor space where people can make payments, right? Where they don't have to go into the building?
Good questions. For security, people are just gonna come in the front door. And we're all gonna have, key fobs for security. And if I can go back, it's really gonna be, a secure location that you can only go through that one location, and you'll be escorted back, or if we know you, we'll just open the door and people will go through, and they'll go to whoever they need to see. So they have to come through the front door. Everything else will be locked down, tight. The bullpen, of course, will be locked to prevent theft of our investments, such as vehicles and, you know, things like that, or generators, things that are gonna be locked down pretty tight. It's gonna be right there in Ronan. Go ahead. Can you fix that, Lisa, please? You know, we're gonna have cameras through IT for sure to protect our investments and protect the tribe's investments. And so the crazies in Polson, that's dealt with, you know, they have to come through the front door and be buzzed in. And that's pretty much subsided until the lake goes down again, which could happen, you know, that could happen. And then, you know, I think, did I answer your questions, Councilman Finley? With security and cameras? Yeah, okay.
Just to expand a little more, we have, right here is a fobbed entry. So when you come in, you can't go beyond this access point without having someone escort you or a fob to get through. We also have this conference room, which would be more for the community, is also separated from the rest of the building. So that would also be closed off. So they wouldn't be able to go through the building without anyone first checking in here. And then if they did go through the conference room, they can only be in the conference room. They won't have access without a fob to get back into these offices through this door.
Go ahead, Jen.
And just to follow up, I just want to say, I really think Tom's idea is a good idea to have a signage department, because if we had standardized signs for everything, I think then that really helps establish a tribal presence. And I think that, you know, there would be other departments. It should be tribe-wide. Because one of the things that one of my dear friends in Arlie always says is that every tribal property needs to have a sign. So like the walking area in Arlie needs to say, this is tribal property. You're able to exercise here because CSKT made this. I mean, it doesn't have to say it like that, but people need to be aware that a lot of things that the community uses, a lot of land that has been donated for community use for everyone, comes at the graciousness of us. And people take that for granted, or people try to squeeze us for more when we've already given way more than our fair share. So then it would just be an opportunity to do that, to put signs on all of our tribal properties and have a uniform signage for everything. I think would be really cool. When Tom said that, I just thought, oh, that's such a cool idea. I never thought of that before. But when you go into Glacier Park, everything, it has a uniform look to it. You know you're in that space.
And we had discussed that with the architects here, that we were hoping for any future builds that there is something that people can look at and be, that's a tribal building. That's something that we recognize on the face of these buildings, so that we have that kind of same marker we've talked about with the architects.
And just as a follow-up, I mean, I wonder if some people go to the Quatucknuck and don't realize that's a tribal property. because I stayed at a hotel in Albuquerque where everything was native. And it seemed kind of cheesy, and I thought, so I asked the guy at the hotel, I said, is this a native owned hotel or native inspired? He said, it's native inspired. And so some people might even go to one of our like that and say they think it's native inspired, not native owned. I think we need to have a stronger presence on everything.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just thinking about the site plan map for the entire area, you know, the entire acres, all the acres there. I think about people moving around. So you got a heck of a workforce here. And I'm not sure if you can expand on this building, add on to it, where that would be if needed. But I think about people walking. I think about like, okay, I'm a guy. Where can I park down here for lunch? And how can people from Tribal Health and Dewar and the skate park, or, you know, how do they move around and where would I park at? You know, that kind of continuity of movement of pedestrians or how traffic moves around the different buildings is something I'm kind of interested in. Otherwise you end up with these little silos of stuff here, and they're really, how do they connect together? Kind of wondered that kind of flow. That would be a question on how it all goes together. So that's kind of that overall site planning. It'd be nice to have, because, you know, I could see someone here, you know, wanting to go take a break and they're still young enough to go skateboarding, you know, go over there for PT. Or, you know, they bring their kid to work and they're going to go over to the push play playground, you know, whatever it might be. So, you know, how, you know, or I'm going to go over to Tribal Health for my appointment. I'm just going to walk over there. How do I walk from my office over to Tribal Health? Is there a chain link fence in my way? You know, that kind of thing. So just.
Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to kind of talk about the solar aspect, you know, the entity that kind of set the standard on the reservation for solar are the Amish. They got solar on everything. They, you know, you go to the store and watching this little lady ask the person behind the counter, and how do you power all this? Oh, it's all solar. I mean, so the people with the horse and the buggy are the cutting edge of solar in our area. It's funny, but it's true. I want to buttress Councilman McDonald's comment, because I'm looking at an article right now. State of Washington awards $10 million in grants for tribal solar projects. And you've got schools, tribal schools, you've got tribal health buildings, you've got irrigation, electric charging stations. Spokane Tribe, we're going to design and build a microgrid that will power a new resiliency station. Nisqually is going to put their Head Start building and wastewater treatment. And Spokane Tribe has a DOE grant, and they've put it on 110 buildings, administration and housing buildings. So I just say that because I appreciate there's aspects of it here and included. I think that's important. It would be nice that, you know, this is kind of our signature effort to emphasize that solar aspect, and maybe it's built in such a way that we hook up, you know, tribal health building into it as well, since we're in that area. But it'd be nice that, you know, as we're building this, that we build it bigger than you expect. Because I just went to the tribal health facility at Lummi in June. They just built it, just opened it up, brand new, beautiful building. And they said the first thing they learned, they should have built it bigger than they thought. So you need to have, okay, here's what we have. And that's what they ran into. They built a brand new health facility, and like, it's already full. So, you know, maybe think about you know, because you're having this community aspect to it, maybe you think in that regard. And I kind of look at it as all of ours opportunity to kind of be that showcase in coming into Ronan. It's going to be right there by the highway. We want to showcase that area and make it look great and such. You know, I really am excited to see how this will play out. But I hear Councilman Langford and McDonald's comments really need to incorporate that traffic, you know, pedestrian, those kind of things. Somebody wants to go out and eat a lunch, go outside and maybe there's a little picnic area or something. I don't know. I know that's a whole nother realm of monitoring, but anyway, thank you.
Carol and then Tom.
Yeah, what we could do is get you guys all a bunch of power bikes and you can ride on the bike path, Pablo to the council meeting.
Good, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I can't remember if the new tribal health building has a generator. Does it? Okay. So they have alternate power. And so if we were to enhance the grid from solar and battery storage also, then they could possibly benefit from that aspect too, being right there, or anything we build in the general area. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the engineers' problems are, the architects, for putting it on the roof, but I just can't figure that out myself.
Based on their design, they had such limited south-facing roof. They didn't feel that they would be able to get enough power from it. Again, these are conceptual, so that's something we could just push a little more strongly, and they might have to do the structure on the roof different, or maybe the way it's facing turns or what have you. This is just their first rendering based on what was described by staff for the needs and the use. We did talk about having the public come in, and that's why you'll see some of the more public-facing programs are more towards the front door, just to make sure that they don't have to walk through the entire building to get somewhere. And some of the programs that weren't going to have any people accessing them, such as if we end up having 24/7 in there, then they're closed off completely from everything. So we did have these discussions with staff as far as the flow of people coming through the building. We didn't address anything as far as community. We did make it clear that this was, you know, intended to be a community location. And so it will have the community portion of it forward facing in the facility.
So one of the one of the interesting things and for our workforce in the future is daycare and childcare for the workforce and where they can go. And I know that this health building was supposed to be focused on maternity and youth, children, et cetera. But I think about the workers there. I think about your workers, and you know, is there space? Is there going to be space if needed that there could be on-site daycare or something like that? Just trying to think ahead of the game, or trying to have that as a recruitment tool for retention for people and employees. And I mean, if you're building a whole new building, it's kind of like what James says. It's like this building. We built it and it was too small from the get-go, and left NRD completely out. And so I know it has to be connected to the irrigation project betterment. So it's just how can we just add to it as much as we can under that purpose of the funding at this time. But think about I think that would be appropriate, you know, space, because that's supporting your workforce. It's the same as having a lunchroom or wherever it might be. And it's so cool because you're right here in Boys and Girls Clubs across the way, Tribal Health's right there. I mean, boy, if I was a young worker, I'd love to be able to work in this building that's brand new and be able to have all the attributes that it has to it. But that would be one of those things that it would be great to have. Thank you.
You just want to.
That's-
Go ahead, Carol.
Mr. Chairman, with the playground, I know there's a river feature through that playground. It's not a real river, but I think we should work closer with your staff to make sure that we're kind of, you know, this is a water building. I mean, and that playground is such a part of this, whole thing. I think we need to make sure we incorporate that and the aspects of our water rights right into that playground. I mean, it sounds minor, but I think if we could get somebody to work with, to work with us, well, Tom's with us. He has a lot of knowledge, so, yeah, but it was cool to know that
Kind
they
of.
were putting that in there.
I'm kidding, Tom.
Lauren, go ahead.
Have we worked at all with MDOT on traffic entering 93? I know I've already heard complaints about when vehicles are turning right. Going on to the old 93, they're having a hard time making that turn with a vehicle sitting there trying to enter. Is that gonna be, that's not gonna be addressed? You guys won't have this won't be many big vehicles coming out of here or going in, right? That's how that job corps. Even more dangerous turn.
No, we don't expect that. We still have our roads department will be located in Kicking Horse with our big barn out there. Any major construction projects, they're gonna go right out to the construction site. I've heard those same complaints about that right turn, but big semis aren't supposed to go down that road anyway. That was the caveat there. They can go all the way into town and take that right. You know, and the same complaints that I've heard, you know, were some of our locals, you know, and I think the buses, they leave out of that site. I don't know if they go into that site though, the school buses, from what I've seen. But I don't foresee traffic. I mean, it'll increase in the mornings for sure from our employees, and at night, but you know, to me, that's a good thing for the commerce of Ronan and to get people to be able to afford and live and come back to Ronan, you know, in my opinion, Ronan Pablo area when prices go down again to be affordable. But that's just my opinion though, Martin or Councilman Charlo.
Jennifer?
So recently we had a mouse in here. I don't know, do we still have a mouse in here or mice? Usually when there's one, there's more. So what it made me think about is that, so if you want to eat here, you have to eat at your desk. There's not a lot of like public places. I think there's some table and chairs upstairs. There's couches up there, but there's in some break rooms. I mean, we have this space, but like if you want to eat in a communal space, maybe with people in other departments, there's not a lot of places to do that in this building. It wasn't really designed to do that. Will there be a space in this building? So, because I'm an introvert, like I actually prefer eating by myself. I don't really like eating with other people. Because I have to like, I just don't. But sometimes I do. And I don't want to attract mice into my workspace and have food there, but there's really no other place to eat here. Kind of have to eat in your personal spaces sometimes, and that attracts mice. And but I also think it's good for morale and camaraderie to have communal spaces where people can eat together. And a lot of times our conference room is being used for other things. People do Zoom calls in there, whatever. And I don't necessarily want to sit at one big table with a bunch of people, but I would sit at like a small table and eat my lunch if that was an option in this building, and it's not.
If I can address that, Councilman Finley, we do have a very large break room incorporated into the facility, and coming off of that will be a patio area. During the beautiful parts of well, it's all beautiful here, but during the weather conducing times of the year, coming off of that with some grassy areas, you know, because everybody likes green space and grassy areas. And then, you know, we want this building to be warm, welcoming, not your typical office. Not your typical brick and mortar office, like a government office, but something that where people will be happy. An NRD is a place where people want to come to work, and that's the way I feel about our department is I got great staff that are invested, and love their job, to the point that some of them have over 1,000 hours all the time come December and they got to use their leave, and so I like what you said, and most definitely what you said is incorporated into this facility. Because again, it's not my building, it's our building, it's the futures of our tribe's building, and I want to see this ever changing. And I never thought about Tom's comment of the daycare, because my kids are older, but I see our youth, that I'm hiring people like Lisa and my age, we're the same age, but our kids are in our 30s now, and we're hiring our kids. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, well, I'm old now, and that's just the way it is. And
When, Mr. Chair,
Of the gym.
it reminded me of the breaks and stuff. And so, again, it's that overall site plan. If I wanted to go work out at Tribal Health, how do I get there from this building? I could just walk over. If there's pickleball courts, we want to get a game together. And, we don't even have that site identified yet, but probably going to be money for that. You might even have some money for some asphalt for that. Just call it an open space parking lot. But, get that pickleball, because you always wanted me to work you over on the pickleball court, Rich, so I probably could do that.
I got a bad hip, so you probably could beat me.
I got a good hip now.
I believe, was it Jen, you were gonna say something, and then Len?
So I think one of there's like I don't know about so many. This is a really beautiful building. When this was built, I thought it was really state of the art and really amazing. But I used to work upstairs and it has a flat roof and it leaks like crazy. And the first time I had water fall on me in my office, I was like, oh my God, I was all like alarmed and no one cared. They said, oh yeah, this roof leaks. There's a bunch of places. It leaks everywhere. And so there's that. And then also when this building was designed, I don't think anybody looked at who the workforce is here. Mostly women. And there's an equal number of men and women's bathrooms. So men, sometimes there's a line upstairs to get into the bathroom because so many women work here and there's not enough bathrooms for the actual workforce that does the work here. And I don't think men would think about it because they have plenty of bathrooms. And then making sure that both the men and women's bathrooms have a baby changing table. Because usually in buildings, only the women's does, not the men's. So anyway, just to put that out there too.
Len?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the tribal design is just phenomenal. Looks good. I think it's really important that we, in regards to signage, that we acknowledge the term water in the Salish, Kootenai, Ponderay language somewhere on the building. Knowing that, this is all about management of our water, right? But just a thought. Thank you.
We will do that. I agree with you. Just something I never thought of. Well, thank you.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I've got a question. So there's 4 buildings there and the proposal looks like we're gonna demo the 2 buildings to the north. Are those 2 buildings modular buildings? And can they be reused somewhere else if they are?
Yes and yes. Councilman Matt, Councilwoman Matt.
Is there a plan on where these will be used at? Because I see demo and not repurpose, so just want to make sure we're not tearing down two nice modular buildings.
That hasn't even been discussed at this point. Because it's going to take about 8 months for the architect and engineering design. And then once we start construction, we got to figure out where we're going to move the current staff, which will more than likely be shoving them into Kicking Horse temporarily. And then that's when we'll start removing the buildings and moving them. And to my knowledge, nobody's laid claim to them yet. They are tribal buildings, right, Lisa? Is that correct? I don't.
The only facility that we had talked about was the trailer. We could relocate that somewhere and repurpose it, but the other facility would have to be demoed in order to build there. Oh, they're both trailers. So they're both double wides. I was thinking of the blue building. That one's not right there, so both of the trailers could be repurposed somewhere else.
The one that says storage right down here, if you can see on your screen, that is an actual that's a home, not a home, but a building. And the Sod Roads, is a building as well. Shop, yeah. And so up here where on the proposed footprint, there are two modulars that will be moved. You can kind of see the outline below on the left here where the 24/7 crew are at. And there's another one right in here where our water measurement staff are at that can be moved. Fatherhood was in there a little bit about 4 or 5 years ago, temporarily with DHRD, so. Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we're in the early planning phase of this, just something to think about. If we're able to obtain other grant funding to possibly construct an overpass crossing from the Boys and Girls Club to this facility, because I know a lot of the employees as kids are going to be at the Boys and Girls Club, you know, and I think it would be just something to consider, you know, so the kids then crossing the road and I don't know. I was just thinking about that, but I think something to think about for the kids, because a lot of the parents are going to be working here, and their kids are going to be utilizing the Boys and Girls Club. So, just a thought.
Go ahead, Carol.
No, we have no meeting room in Ronan that of any type of a size. And I see the one meeting room, but that's still not very big, is it? Can you add on a gymnasium? No. No, I mean a bigger, like a community meeting room. I don't know if that would be possible or if there's any room or.
Well, we designed this room about 75 to 100. Is that what we remember?
Yeah, we were told that about the max capacity that they generally have for their meetings is 40 people, but I think they went above that marker just to make sure we had extra space. And then also storage for tables and chairs. But I don't recall off the top of my head what the count was for that. But I know it's in excess of 40 because.
I mean, we have no place to meet in Ronan except a community center or Boys and Girls Club. And, you know, some people, you know, they're not comfortable with that because they're not used to it.
I believe this will be a good place to host meetings. I think you'll see.
Hey, Jen.
So maybe I missed it, but how many people will be in this building, Rich? How many people will be working in this building? How many people will be working in this building approximately to start?
We made the facility to incorporate the entire Dewar division, including myself. So you're looking at least 100 people, full staff. Bear in mind, we haven't filled every position in this division yet.
So have you been to the library in Polson, the new library?
I don't go to that library.
Oh.
I only go to Ronan. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
So the library in Polson just got remodeled and it's small. It's not a big building, but they added on a little miniature coffee shop in there. And it's so nice because you can be outside and order a drink, or you could go inside and sit at a little table and have a coffee. And I would think, I mean, I don't know. Would there be a benefit to offering like a little tiny space like that and putting it up for bid so people could bid on it to use that space and provide coffee and small snacks or something like that for at least part of the day?
We'll have
'Cause we
room
don't have that
in the
here.
front entrance
Yeah,
for an entrepreneur.
yeah, but the Polson space is, it's so small, but it's really cool. And I would think with the skate park there and tribal health, that there's those people too. And if there's people's kids, because when I was raising my kid, I mean, they're grown now, but sometimes they had to get off the bus at my work for years. Wherever I worked, I always tried to arrange it so my kids could get off the bus there. And so it would be nice, and I'm sure other people are in that position too. Their kids might have to get off the bus where their parents work. And then there's like, they could go to the skate park or they could do their homework in that area, but then employees could get coffee in the mornings and whatever, a donut, a breakfast burrito, whatever, I don't know. But it's just kind of a nice little space to have that. And then tribal health people might use it too, or kids. Thanks.
So I think, Mr. Chair, we're asking for a consensus to move forward on our design.
Based on this design, do you have a guesstimated cost?
Oh, yes, yes. And we're gonna get into that in the task order, Councilman Two Teeth, but the estimated design is 13 to 15 million dollars, incorporating the new portion of a daycare center. Probably wouldn't affect that, but I do want to remind the council that like the program of 24/7 is part of NRD, but it's a BIA funded program. So using compact dollars to build this facility, 24/7 would be leasing the space through the BIA. And then the daycare facility would be leasing the space through the water compact. So that's where we got to keep the money separate, based on the law of the water compact settlement. But these things can be done for sure. But 13 to 15 million is the estimated cost. But Jacola doing their discovery process already with us on this. And when we bring up task order 128, which I'm going to have John and Dan and the rest of us kind of explain, they're going to save us a lot of money if we go with them again with a non-competitive bid or a sole source contract. So. To me, I think we just need a consensus from council that you accept this concept.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. If if I was to do an easy modification for this, I would, I'd move the whole site plan north as much as I could, squeezing north. And then I think Carol's comment about the meeting room is much smaller than this right back here. So you could extend that meeting room going towards your storage, your old building there. And then on the other U bottom, you could actually put your daycare center or your daycare. So if you just extend it to the south on both of those legs, you could make that conference room much bigger. What's really nice is that your conference room could have its own separate entrance and bathroom. You could lock off the rest of the building. And so it could be really easily used for community meetings, that conference space, if it was bigger. I would say right now it's too small. But then you could add on the other side, and maybe that's where you could put a daycare center, something like that. I don't know. Or maybe it's part of the conference room. I don't know.
James?
Yeah, just real quick on the signs. It's pretty cool in Mission. We got the sign stop in English and Salish. You know, that'd be something kind of cool in this area.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yep,
kind of cool to have in that area.
that'll be done. Absolutely. And I like what, well, I don't really like what Tom said. No, I do. The conference room we're looking at just taking out the conference room that's within the facility and using that space to extend the community conference room to make that bigger. Lisa kind of explained that to me today. And then we can possibly repurpose one of those trailers as a daycare within the footprint of this community, you know.
Just a reminder, how much acreage is this whole thing? I'm looking on Google Maps and I'm not sure how many acres it is.
About 4 acres.
Okay.
For the footprint.
The total footprint of NRD is 4 acres. So if I go back up.
Well, they're asking for consensus to proceed with the basic concept. Given a lot of the remarks made today, I hope those get incorporated. John, go ahead.
Yeah, basically, we're asking for approval of the discovery phase, which is this phase with, it has the floor plan, basically, you know, the parking lot, and there is room as we go forward in the A&E for some more architectural work also. Limited in the scope of that, but the fine details are in that in the next phase.
Any objection to moving forward? I think you got consensus to the discovery phase here.
The second item, Council and Mr. Chairman, is the task order 128, and I'm going to let, well, we can all talk about it. Jacola was our engineering firm of choice. They've worked with the tribe. They've worked with us. They're very good. They're very attentive. They're very responsive. And they've done work with us. They've done actual buildings with us. So we're looking to move to the next phase, which is the architecture and engineering design phase of the building now. That's where they will actually do the legwork and design the building to be built. Okay? We're going to work with SKMM, right? Yeah. So we're using tribal compact dollars to make money for a tribal corporation. You know, the tribe makes money on our own money. what I recommend at least is to, I mean, we can go through this with a fine tooth comb and I'll do that, but we're looking to, at least in my belief, is to do a non-competitive agreement with Jacola or a sole source agreement with Jacola in the amount of, geez, what is it? 896,207. And we'll have an 8-month timeline for them to get this done, working with us. And then we can begin construction after that. Come back in with the next phase with the tribal council, keeping you apprised, you know, every month or every couple of months, whatever you decide. And moving forward, if we go with Jacola, it's going to save us money, because if we have to bid this out, another company is going to do, they're going to go back and want to redo what we just presented to you. And we just don't think we can want to do that or could afford it. It's just going to cost us more money. That's my opinion on it. I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in, or if I missed something, please do, Lisa.
If we're estimating the building to be anywhere from 12 to 14 million, generally your A&E firm will come in at about 10%. So this would be lower than, like, $200,000 lower than we would have anticipated any other company to bid. So based on square footage of what they priced out, we're getting engineering services that for like $400 per square foot, where we generally will average construction at $550 to $650 per square foot. So we're saving on that engineering.
Any questions? John?
I'd also like to add that Jacola is all in-house. Their engineers, architects, from civil engineers to structural, mechanical, are all in-house. So as an architectural firm, they are not having to go outside a house to hire engineers and then adding their 1% on top of that. It's all in-house. Their communication is much faster. So it's just a better overall process. Thank you.
Any other questions on task order 128? Motion by Martin. Go ahead, Lynn.
So with these types of contracts, are they required to pay the Indian preference fee? And are they required to comply with our ordinance of hiring tribal members?
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, under the task agreement, this is the proposal, and the task order is awarded to SKMM, and then us in turn subcontracting with Jacola in terms of that flow down to them. There's no requirement that they do that. But in terms of our operations and working with people that we subcontract with, we do push that down as we can and appropriate and recommendations. But this is all in-house. So in terms of them subbing out, there will be no subbing out with them. It'll be just with Jacola that we would contract with.
Okay. So does SKMM still pay the 3% fee?
We do not through IPO.
However, when we construct, you know, and if we go through SKMM, they will definitely push preferred tribal contractors. Because we want to use tribal money to make money for tribal people and the tribe. That's always been our goal. I think that's our tribal goal.
No, I understand that, Rich. I just didn't know if we were paying these or not. But not only that, I just wanted to advocate that when we let out these big contracts to the engineering firms, we want to see them hire tribal members. You know, if there's a possibility. And but anyway, yeah, that was my point.
Good, Tom.
We're still asking questions. Jacola's, of course, well aware of the flowing water there in the substrate. Okay, so it's been already, that's part of there's not gonna be some change order, some weird thing coming at us. Okay,
We gave them the geotech survey from the Ronan Health Clinic, and Dan just confirmed they're gonna do a geotech survey on that site as well.
the Boys and Girls Club, when they built that furniture store, it was literally, it was a river, there.
Got a motion by Martin to approve task order 128. Do I have a second? Second by Tom? All in favor? Carol? Unanimous. Thank you all.
That's all I have for this morning. No, the landfill, Stacy Kente could not make it this morning because he had interviews. So we'll push it back. Thank you, Jen.
Jen?
Yeah, Jordan also needed to see council before lunch is over, and he is on.
Well, send Jordan in then.
What?
Go ahead, Rich. One. One.
Rolling today, baby.
Morning, Jordan.
Hey, good morning. I just got a quick one for you all. A few weeks ago, Headwaters came in and kind of left you guys with the decision to make on who you wanted to be the point people as we start to flesh out the CSKT Partnership Fund. Up until this point, it's been me and Greg, and I just wondered if council wanted to continue with that or if you wanted to change that up at all. A few weeks ago, Headwaters Foundation, they came in with a proposal of a partnership fund with CSKT. And so as part of that, they're just wondering who the point people should be as we move the process forward. Up until now, they've been communicating with me and Greg. And so I'm just wondering if that's how we want to keep it or if we want to make any adjustments.
Any objection to keeping it as is? I think we're as is.
All right, I'll let them know, and I'll, of course, keep you all in the loop as we move forward, but thank you all.
Recess for lunch.